Yes, everyone, what is this video about? Let me tell you. The thing I was most worried about has actually happened. I've been wondering, does Elon Musk really dare to start an American party? If he really sets up an American party, then he's in trouble. Donald Trump is someone who will do absolutely anything. Those MAGA folks are saying there was a post that said, if it weren't for government funding, all his businesses would have to pack up and go back to South Africa. I'm saying that's basically threatening him. Why would you deliberately bring up his immigrant status and say he'd go back to South Africa? It's really just a way to intimidate him. Those people even said, no, he's just describing the situation. Later, a reporter asked Donald Trump, would you send Elon Musk back to South Africa? He said, I don't know. I'll think about it, that's all. And then Bannon suggested just seizing Elon Musk's SpaceX. And then sending Elon Musk back to South Africa. All right, let me talk more about his conflict with Donald Trump. July 4th, Elon Musk said on the X platform that once you've said something like this, it's hard to backtrack. At that time, he said that if the big and beautiful bill passed, he would establish the American Party the very next day. On July 4th, he signed it and launched an online poll. He asked, do you want to break away from the two-party system? Should we establish the American Party? So, what happened? People went to vote. After 17 hours, 1.11 million people voted, with 64.5% in favor of founding the American Party and 35% against. With public support, he decided to take action. He announced on the X platform that the American Party was officially established today. The goal is to give your freedom back to you. At this point, it's a fight to the death. He announced his strategy. Although he is the richest man in America, he doesn't have the ability to take on the Republican Party across the whole country. Instead, he chooses some key areas to undermine the Republicans there. It's just a few, 2 or 3 Senate seats, maybe 8 or 10 House seats, splitting your votes in places where the margins are really tight. This is a deadly move because the number of seats between the Democrats and Republicans isn't that far apart. If he splits the MAGA faction's votes, this could actually flip the midterm elections. With his personal charisma and the publicity from his X platform, along with a group of traditional Republicans who are dissatisfied with Donald Trump, let me tell you all, Tesla's stock price is at $315. I'm holding myself back from buying Tesla, biting my fingers till they bleed. I just love Tesla so much. It's so tempting, and now it's already over $200 here. It bounced back to over $300 again. Finally, the thing I feared most happened. No car subsidies. I expected this. It's fine. Business in China is sluggish. That's fine. Business in Europe is sluggish. That's fine too. But there's one thing that can't be touched. Guess whether I understand Donald Trump or not. He issues an executive order. From now on, anyone wanting to enter Level 3 or Level 4 needs approval from the Department of Transportation. This time, it's a real problem. Only after the safety data passes can you proceed. It completely blocks your autonomous driving and robotaxi. This would be fatal. Tesla's stock would drop below $100. Do you think Donald Trump would actually do this? The only thing supporting Tesla's stock price right now is autonomous driving. If they block you from reaching Level 3 or launching robotaxi, that's a huge problem. Why? Because in the Republican Party, who would dare go against Donald Trump? It's not just about the federal government. Texas is a red state. Austin is involved. Would Sanders dare to oppose Donald Trump? If you do, you can forget about being governor. Whoever goes against Donald Trump, that's a death sentence. Elon Musk talked about how he targets with precision, focusing resources intensely on just 2 or 3 Senate seats. And in 8 to 10 congressional districts, this is critical. It's all about winning just a few seats. Considering that the gap between the two parties in Congress is razor-thin right now. For any controversial bill, he wants to hold on to the final say. To have that deciding vote. And as you know, he even went and did $1 million lottery. He went and did another $1 million lottery for people. Can you catch him? Last time he did $1 million lottery for you, and now he's doing it again in those few places. So what are you going to do about it? America is living under one-party rule, not a democratic system. He even brought out a chart showing that, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, the deficit just keeps growing. When it comes to waste and corruption that bankrupt the country, the two parties are really just one party. Both of them are just as bad. On July 4th, Donald Trump signed the big and beautiful bill with a scale of $3.4 trillion US. With House Speaker Johnson as a witness, he made the 2017 tax cuts permanent and expanded child tax benefits. Tips are tax-exempt. As he promised, overtime pay is tax-exempt, Social Security is tax-exempt, and there will be increased spending on border security and national defense. All these tax exemptions add up to several hundred billion, and then there's an increase of $130 billion a year for border security, and an extra $150 billion a year for defense spending. As a result, they have to cut Medicaid and food stamps, saving over $100 billion. According to the analysis by the National Security Budget Office, the current U.S. national debt is $36.2 trillion, and it will increase by $3.4 trillion over the next 10 years. Tax revenue will decrease by $4.5 trillion, and spending will decrease by $1.1 trillion. On July 3rd, the House of Representatives. In fact, this time it passed with a margin of just 4 votes. Out of 220 Republican representatives, only 2 dared to oppose it. Donald Trump exerted a lot of pressure. At 5 a.m. on July 2nd, Trump made a final push. The White House staff cleared his schedule so he could pressure the members of Congress. With Donald Trump putting on such intense pressure, the representatives simply don't dare to go against him. It's not just a matter of not getting reelected as a representative. In the past, party whips couldn't control people because as long as my voters were loyal to me, that was enough. But if Donald Trump comes after you, he can even have the Department of Justice investigate you. He can even have people arrested. These are things Donald Trump would actually do. That's why no one dares to go against him. He spent 2 hours at the White House meeting with representatives. Calling up representatives, the president himself stepping in, inviting them to the White House for a chat, with the vice president present, Donald Trump putting the pressure on you. He could say anything he wanted. The White House budget director, Vought, went to Congress to sit there and hold the line. Donald Trump was making threats on Truth Social. At 8 a.m. on July 3rd, he said, "Republicans, what are you still waiting for? What are you trying to prove? Make America great again. If you don't do this, you'll lose votes," he warned the lawmakers who weren't cooperating. When someone uses public power in this way, of course, no one dares to oppose it. It's just like how public power is wielded in Hong Kong. This is truly terrifying. I never imagined there would be a day like this in America. Sources revealed that Donald Trump called a congressman from Kentucky to try to smooth things over between the two, but he still voted against it. However, he did support the procedural motion, which allowed the bill to move forward. First, he had to pass the procedural motion. That was the key. Then it would be passed within a set time limit. Basically, that's what it means. No more obstacles could be put in the way. According to a report by the Wall Street Journal, in order to win the support of conservatives within the party, Donald Trump and his advisors have said they are considering imposing new tariffs on wind power equipment parts and slowing down the approval of some renewable energy projects. Those people are from oil-producing states. And coal industry people as well. They want him to kick out wind energy. They want tariffs on imported wind turbines, and he agreed, though nothing has happened yet. Some renewable energy projects are being held up and not approved. Donald Trump is using future executive actions as bargaining chips to appease those who are upset because the Senate allowed wind and solar projects to extend their construction timelines. Republican lawmakers who are angry about the tax incentives. What does this mean? There are some people in the Senate who also have wind energy interests. They said no, it needs to be delayed, otherwise our states will be in trouble. So he extended it again, and now it's the oil states people who are upset. Now he's saying that the tax exemption measures are okay. But I'll add import tariffs, and I won't approve them. The White House budget director assured the lawmakers. What about the huge deficit then? I won't spend the money. The president has the authority to refuse to execute the budget appropriations passed by Congress, but that's not the case. This is not allowed. This is unconstitutional. The president blocking Congress. There's even a specific law about this. In 1976, in response to Nixon, there was the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act. Once Congress passes something, the president has no right to block it. Now he's saying he'll forcibly use executive power to withhold the money, to reduce the deficit. According to Politico, Johnson quickly flipped several opponents during a meeting at Donald Trump's White House. He pressured a few of them to change their stance. Donald Trump is the best closer in the business. We're going to get the job done. Did Donald Trump make deals to win over lawmakers? Yes, I did make deals with some people. But I think making some promises to them is something that happens all the time, these political trades. To boost his standing in the state, he made some deals, and then Musk responded for the first time by sharing Rand Paul's post on social media, supporting his harshest criticism of the budget bill. This is causing our deficit, as Rand Paul explosively pointed out, to skyrocket. It's short-term political thinking overriding the long-term. Since early June, he has been fiercely criticizing it, calling it the big and beautiful bill. He said it's like slavery because it's our future generations who will have to pay for it. It will ruin America's finances. America will go bankrupt. When he was doing Doge, there were people saying, why do we need to support Donald Trump? Because without Donald Trump, America will go bankrupt. Now America is bankrupt, and he has expanded the deficit. So what do you say now? After the bill passed in the federal Senate, Musk once claimed that he would establish the American Party the very next day to replace the Republican Party, the Pighead Party. When asked about why he switched from supporting to opposing Donald Trump, he said that during Biden's administration, the deficit has already increased from $2 trillion to $2.5 trillion. And Donald Trump wants to expand this even further, which would bankrupt the country. He referenced ancient Greek history, saying we need to break the one-party system. This guy really knows his stuff. He wants to use the method Epaminondas used in the Battle of Leuctra to shatter the myth of Spartan invincibility. He concentrated his forces with precise deployment on the battlefield to break through a single point. Sparta was considered unbeatable. That's impressive. I don't really understand it myself. Aren't you impressed by how knowledgeable this person is? I actually didn't know about him, probably because I'm not familiar with Greek history. If it were Chinese history, I'd know it very well. This guy is amazing, right? He's so knowledgeable. He supported Donald Trump with $300 million, but then their relationship quickly soured. According to Donald Trump's biographer, Wolf, on the Daily Beast podcast, the one who said Musk was using drugs was actually Donald Trump. He spread these rumors everywhere. He said that people close to Donald Trump claimed he was always using drugs. You know, the New York Times wrote about him using drugs, but actually, I was the one who gave them the information. If you encounter a petty person, it's best to keep your distance and treat them with caution. Why? Because if you get too close, they'll disrespect you. If you keep your distance, they'll resent you. That's what Confucius said. If you get close to them, they'll lose all sense of boundaries, lying on your bed, doing whatever they want, even scratching their feet right in front of you. But if you keep your distance, they'll resent you and turn against you. In late May, the New York Times reported that Musk had used ketamine, Adderall, and ecstasy during Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. Psychedelic mushrooms, the report cited more than a dozen people who have worked with Musk, saying they were familiar with him and had access to private information. Elon Musk denied all of this, producing his medical examination report as proof. White House Communications Director Zhang Jinshi said that Wolf claimed Donald Trump never did such things. A bag of shit who spends all day lying, a compulsive liar and a con artist full of delusional fantasies, of course would never admit it. Let's see, I wouldn't dare buy Tesla. What I'm most afraid of is them getting into robo-taxis. I'm not worried about anything else, but robo-taxis really scare me.